I know. I'll cut these spider webs with my knife.
I don't think you said that, actually.
No, that's way better, though.
That's way better.
He did. It was great though, because
I'll get us through.
Like, I thought it was some big
Oh,
thing.
I know.
He just
did
took a
anyone
knife.
else love that when he cut it too? It looked like the softest little yarn.
The softest,
Did anyone else know? This wasn't Frodo and
He could have
Shelob's
just
lair.
gone like that.
Like,
No.
He goes,
Could have
"Oh,
just walked right through.
I can handle that. I'll get us through.
sniffing it.
Good,
just
glad you're
apart.
doing
He
something.
didn't do anything. Our strongest guy is the only one who can use a sword.
It was like a
That was
dagger.
the littlest Omega. You should have handed that to
I could
Omega.
cut that.
Let Tech do that one. Tech's
That's
never done anything
great.
physical. That was great. Oh, boy. Well, welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast, and we got a fun episode tonight. We are your hosts, as always. I am Mike.
I am Nate. Hello there.
I was going
We doing
silent.
around?
I know.
Man, you know me well.
I was
know
just going,
well.
I was
can't
going
do
to
it for
go.
myself.
I was just going to
Uncle.
say that, and then just the silence.
Yeah, well, you did.
We're watching a little. I don't want to spoil anything.
Sound.
Sometimes it's Sometimes it's the audio that's there. Sometimes it's the audio that's not there. Heyo.
Hey,
Talking about a different
poker
show then.
face.
Poker face. Poker. Yeah, we're excited. We got some Bad Batch to catch up on, and then we got a little bit of Mando. Some Mando 3
Yeah.
trailer. Bill Burr was not in the trailer.
Huge
we liked him.
oversight.
Huge oversight.
He's in there.
I heard that. I
He's
heard
in there.
that he's being recast as Cara Dune. It's just him. Hey, look at me, Mando.
It's Carson Teva.
Fucking big feet, man.
And Bill
Carson
Burr.
Teva.
Hey, I got this blaster here. I'm going to shoot through the
Shoot.
fire.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
You can't
man.
mention Fenway Park, Bill. This is Star Wars. It's
Right.
mention all Boston stuff. Down the harbor.
Gonna-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got some good stuff, Nate.
Yeah.
Uncle. Hello there. Hello there.
Hello there.
I'm now
Yeah.
finally doing the rest of the intro.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Start off with a little Bad Batch.
Little Bad Batch-y.
Little Bad Batch. Season 2, episode 6. And yeah, overall thoughts. That's good. I was
Share it
gonna
all
say
in
the same thing.
in Wookiees.
in Shriwook.
Share the whole thing and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got a little bit of Gungi.
Yeah. Gungi.
Yeah, that's pretty
A
exciting.
lot of it.
A lot of
A
Gungi.
lot of bit of
Yeah.
Gungi.
Yeah.
Feels like a
This is
one-off though.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
There's a
That's
little
cool.
bit of these episode here, mission here.
Definitely feels
mission
more
here,
Mando-esque, like mission here, mission there.
Right. A little
Everywhere mission.
bit. Mm-hmm.
mission here. Mission. You get a mission. You get a. No, we're just Oprah.
But
no,
no,
it's-
overall though, I mean, it definitely felt like its own.
Look under your chair.
Oh, it's a mission.
Everybody gets
Look
a
at-
Grogu.
Look under your chair. It's Sid. It's giving you another mission.
It's
And they failed again. They still didn't get paid. They haven't gotten paid for like 3
No.
weeks.
No, this
No.
is I know how Empire Strikes Back. Some of the through line between Empire and Last Jedi is that it's
It's about failure.
the escape. Yeah, the escape is essentially you try. There are little missions here, fail. The big success at the end is that they just haven't died yet. Like
right.
you're trying.
Yeah.
to
Right.
This is a lot of. It's a lot of
Yeah.
this. Oh, now I will say they did save Gungi.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
They didn't
that
get
was,
paid, but I'd say
Didn't get paid.
the mission was successful.
Maybe
or-
they'll finally teach them to stop doing stuff just for getting paid.
Right.
True.
And yeah, but I will say they are when we say they're having a bigger purpose or getting a little more involved. This isn't a big galaxy thing, but they are like doing their part of
Yeah.
see someone in who
Yeah.
needs aid. I like the distinction too of obviously Gungi, a Wookiee, having hesitation. And not
With
just a
the
Wookiee, sorry,
clones,
a Jedi.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I understand. Us Jedi, we hunt down the Jedi and, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know who his impression that was. I was just doing, but, it's something like this. I'll do it.
I'm gonna
No.
wreck it.
yeah.
Well, overall thoughts. I guess we're just diving in. Overall
I
thoughts
mean,
on the episode?
It definitely felt like a standalone, its own episode, kind of. But I don't know. I feel like they, even with saying that, they still are connecting the hunter, in his head.
Yeah.
Like stuff throughout every episode.
Mhm.
I feel like they're
Mhm.
still getting back to what's Hunter thinking. I feel like it's all leading to them trying to figure out a bigger purpose for their group, as opposed to just trying to do missions here and there. I think the way the episode ends is Hunter looks at Gungi and Omega and is like they're just kids, but they can't be in this galaxy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's starting to feel like each episode's starting to make him think deeper and deeper about we really need to like make a difference
Right.
against the Empire, to actually help Omega. Like, I don't know. I feel like if Omega's really this character that the Bad Batch is supposed to kind of be like the father figures for and like protect her and help her grow up and watch her. The missions and money can only go so far. Then it becomes like, what lifestyle do you actually want this, like, not just her, but all kids to be growing up in, and they're realizing that the Empire is just, they need to do something about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's cool in this episode we see post-war tanks,
Yes.
Yeah.
even
The
clones
Trandosians taking
that
over.
are now doing like working with the Trandosians, doing
was
like
interesting.
bounty stuff,
Yeah.
doing like just
I like that
wreaking havoc.
they mention they show the Trandosians and how they're
Trandosians.
the conflict between them and the Wookiees
right.
that we've known
We know it's
from
there, but we-
comics and other stories.
And we got a
stuff
little
like that.
chrysanthemum.
We got
Remember-
some,
not
yeah.
in this, but I mean,
Yeah,
remember
right. We got a little touch of that in
chrysanthemum
Kenobi.
and
Yeah, we saw it there
we
too.
saw the
But now they're
him
showing
looking at
they're
the
literally
Trandosians
just
and just
capturing them
ripping
and
the
taking
arms
them as like slaves or whatever.
Slaves.
They're just
Mhm.
trading them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
anyone. I am not one to make a judgment on a whole group or anything like that. Anyone who hisses,
It's not a good start.
I'm immediately.
Yeah.
I got my guard up.
Right.
At the very least.
Got my guard up.
I'm meeting a Trandosian. Could be the nicest person in the world. I'm gonna be
Looks like a
welcome you with
lizard.
open arms. You start
Mhm.
hissing at me though. This is nothing against you. A snake
Right.
comes and hisses at me.
Right.
Hello, snake. No more hugs for the snake.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about the
The
Trandosians.
kids were
right now.
wise to be wary of Harry when he hisses like a
Yeah.
snake.
Yeah, I don't think any of them should have
Yeah.
pretended that
No.
that was normal.
That's like a Slytherin call sign. Very rare.
I love the kid. Yeah, I love the kid in the
No,
movie. Goes,
it's very-
what are you playing at? What are you playing at? It was British, way
By
to
the
phrase
way-
that. What are you playing
A
at?
slight
I love
digression.
it.
Harry Melling plays Dudley is in Queen's Gambit. I just finished watching.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Queen's Gambit. Harry Melling
I love it.
plays Harry Beltig. I think
Oh.
is his name in the show.
Dudders.
Chess player. Dudders.
There you go.
It's like, wait, I know
Dudders.
that face. Anyway, yeah.
Dudders. The best is when Dudley ends up joining a gang when he gets older,
Perfect.
and it's like,
Exactly
it's
right.
great, of course.
What are you looking
Uh,
at?
I'm
So
gonna
good.
beat it out of you.
Move on, Dudley.
All right.
I love the house that we saw. It reminded me.
I knew what you're gonna say.
Go ahead.
A little
Holiday
bit
special.
of holiday special,
Exactly.
right? Didn't
Yeah.
it?
Just
It
picture-
actually felt like the same
Picture
even
Lumpy
angle.
dancing a
Wanna see
1,000
Lumpy,
feet in the
yeah,
sky.
just,
Yeah.
like, balancing on the
15
edge.
minutes straight of just Wookiee speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a couple of
Exactly.
scenes of them hanging out in this episode of them on that balcony, kind
did.
of talking.
They did,
looking over.
yeah.
But
Mhm. It looked like it.
it looked like the painting, like still shot
Yeah.
when they first would go to it from the same angle and everything. It looked like
Yeah.
it looked like they took it straight from
Yeah.
the same idea from
It
the
did. That was
holiday
kinda
special.
cool.
I loved it. Yeah, I really like that because we haven't seen in movies. We haven't seen the tree house because I think that the actual living quarters of the Wookiees has only been shown as far as the stuff we've seen on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I think has only been shown in the holiday special
Yeah.
because we get Battle of Kashyyyk and we get a
See
little
him
bit
up
of
in like
that.
a
With,
stand.
we
Yeah.
see some of the
Yeah.
forest, but we don't get to see up. We don't get to see inside.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fun. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. That immediately made me think of the holiday special.
Yep. Same thing.
Yeah.
That's great.
I loved just the character of Gungi in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That it felt very different from every other Jedi that we've seen post Order 66.
Yeah.
It was like he was not hesitant or scared at all to show that he was a Jedi.
Right.
It was like it seemed like an innocent. It seemed a lot like Omega.
Mhm.
Like not worried about making the quote unquote
do the
right
right-
decision.
I gotta do something to help.
But I have
Yeah.
to do something to help, and that's all that matters. I'm gonna step in and do what I can.
Right.
Like Omega tries to do that with the that we saw with the race.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's like, oh well, we'll double it, and
Mhm.
then we'll do this, whatever. She's trying to do
Mhm.
help. Was it the right decision? You could argue maybe not,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it worked out for them in that scenario. In this case, Gungi seems very similar in the sense that like he's not worried about what happens to him. It's like, boom, someone's in trouble. I'm forcing my lightsaber. I'm helping.
Let's
out.
go. Right.
They all look around. They're the Bad Batch is looking out at what they can do. They see the tanks coming. They turn to the right. Gungi's already gone, and he's already running out
He's
by
already
himself
in
to
there.
just take him on. I love
love
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
love it.
No, it's great. I think it'll be interesting. It feels like coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of episodes, we'll say if I had to make a prediction, the next 2 episodes, that we would get one that goes back to Crosshair.
Yes.
That it feels like we've had a lot of just the way that this story has kind of unfolded so far. We've had a lot of these action adventure mission, the riot racing one. Then we had the one that was Indiana Jones-esque. Then we had this one on Kashyyyk. And then I'd like to be thrown right back into some of what's going on in the Empire. Or find out something about what's going on with Cody. Maybe even directly when we say an Empire one.
Yeah.
We get that little glimpse of however much Palpatine's going to be in this.
Right.
We know he's in a little bit from the trailer.
Yeah.
It feels like an Empire-centric, Crosshair-centric episode is coming.
Is ready.
Is coming soon.
And
That's what I think.
We know Rex is in at some point.
Yeah.
I believe, right? So that'll have to tie in eventually. But yeah.
Hope we get some boba.
I know.
Yeah, it feels so far away.
Are we 6 episodes in?
6. Feels so far away from like telling Omega's backstory or connecting with Boba Fett.
That's what I was gonna say. Is
talking about cloning. It just feels like it's.
We don't know how
not
many
on the-
seasons this is gonna be,
All right.
and so while we always want to take it, we want to just engage with the story that's being presented. I think it's understandable for us to be like, all right, well, with Mando. Mando is the flagship, the first Disney Plus Star Wars. They had said pretty early on, and it was very clear after watching season 1, this isn't a 2-season thing. Like this is
the Mandoverse.
This is a thing that's going to go. And again, I don't think they're doing like 7, 8 seasons. I think that they've confirmed at least 4.
Me neither. I think they're going 8, 9,
10, 11. That's the LeBron.
I don't think they're doing 7, 8 seasons. I think they'll do 10.
You're LeBron with the Miami Heat. Not 1, not 2, not
Like
3.
MASH. They bring in a different actor to play Grogu.
That's
like,
it.
Jump the shark a couple of times.
Exactly. But with this, I don't know if we're getting beyond 2 seasons, honestly, with Bad Batch. That would be nice. I don't feel like this is a Clone Wars thing where
it doesn't feel like that.
Because Clone Wars is a much bigger. This is a more controlled, kind of confined story where it's focusing on the Bad Batch.
Right.
The other show was called The Clone Wars. It's literally like everything that's involving the war,
filling in all the gaps,
and all these different things
main
can go anywhere.
characters. Yeah.
Where this feels like this is I wouldn't be surprised also if they do have a season 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if season 2, with all the other things they have on their plate, might be the end of Bad Batch. I don't know. So the only reason I'm saying that is I am with you guys that it feels like I am feeling a little bit antsy of like, okay, we're 6 episodes in. There's still 10 episodes in this season, but potentially there might only be 10 episodes left in the show. It doesn't feel like we've even really hinted at any of the cloning stuff in this season or finding more about Omega or why the Kaminoans really wanted to. I mean, other than
like
that
really
she has a
protect
connection
her.
to like that she's the line to the original Django, but they haven't said what the Empire wants to do or not do with that, or what we haven't had a ton of that going. Like we haven't had a ton of people this whole season that are after Omega. In fact, we haven't had anybody after Omega.
No.
We know that Cad Bane's still out there because of Cad and Fennec from season 1 having their encounter.
Yeah.
So I am interested to see where that's going, see what the speed of that will be, or as far as if we'll get those answers this season, or if they come in this show at all, or if that's something that'll be set up for a book or a comic or something else down the road.
Yeah, or if we'll see those characters someplace else.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Connecting in again. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But it's fun.
We'll see. It is fun.
It's a fun
It
show.
is.
It's definitely fun.
I could sit there
enjoy
with
it a lot.
my kids and
Yeah. One thing I really like about it too is because it's kind of like this episode. I had I went in. I could watch an episode and I have no idea what I'm about to watch.
yeah,
It's not like I'm picking up necessarily where I left off and like this story, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this.
right.
For this
It's
moment
not Andor
to be shown,
ending
or
every
like,
single episode on a cliffhanger. We know,
Right.
I just want to see the continuation of that
But
scene.
at the same, which that is fun too when you have those shows, but it's also kind of a change of pace and refreshing when you're just like, I have no idea what I'm about to watch.
Yeah.
And then you watch a good story start to finish, and that's the end. That's the episode.
Like Micah's playing he plays soccer, he plays basketball. She's got multiple practices a week, schoolwork, homework, youth group at church. He hasn't watched them all. I was like, it doesn't matter. He just You can sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
So he sat down and watched last week's,
Yeah.
watched this week's, and then he can
Yeah.
go back and catch up.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. Can you imagine trying to watch Andor starting
You could.
episode
no.
5? Like, who's that? What do they fit? It would be hard.
Yeah.
It
you
would
can't
be
do
very
So
that.
difficult.
it's a different purpose.
Yeah.
Fills
Yeah.
a different place.
Which is good.
Which is
We
great,
said
yeah.
before,
fine.
the Star Wars buffet, you need to have you have you got your meats here, your main course, your side dishes, all these things, your desserts, appetizers, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
you don't
it's-
need salad,
you don't
though.
Need,
You don't need salad on
notice
there.
I didn't say
No.
salad.
I mean, I skip that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, salad's
No,
good.
salad's good.
Salad is
Good
good.
Caesar.
Way better than Wizard of Oz.
Well, you know one of the big
Just kidding.
one of the big knocks of the Wizard of Oz, and this kind of shows its time. I think in the time it was made, not a single salad shown in that.
Not one
Not
salad.
one salad,
No.
which makes you. I don't like projecting anything. It had to be intentional, obviously.
Yeah.
What's their issue with salad? What is it? Are they
I mean,
anti-salad?
why do they hate
people?
lettuce?
Why do they hate lettuce?
Why does Victor Fleming hate? That's a question for the ages. Why does Victor Fleming hate lettuce?
That is a question.
That's gonna go. Somebody's gonna tweet that.
Why is
Put that out there, Nate. That'll take
Like,
off.
what?
That'd be-
is
That
this?
will definitely go viral.
Yeah.
Why does Victor
Oh,
Fleming?
that's
Because he
great.
does. Okay.
That's, that led to some tension behind the scenes, is what I've heard.
It did, yeah.
I mean, you probably couldn't have asked that question for the first 30 years. I mean, I can only say it now because it's been,
Yeah.
Yeah. 60 years.
Statute of limitations.
80
you can say
years.
it.
Yeah.
It's a long time since that movie came out. 80 years.
Yeah.
83 years of enduring. Every Thanksgiving, The Wizard of Oz came on. I had to watch it. Every Thanksgiving. Before we had cable.
Every Thanksgiving, you'd
It's
sit
like
down
it's
with
better
a nice
than watching
bowl
the
of
president. It's better than the president, like the debates. Let's watch The Wizard of Oz.
lettuce.
Barely better. Oh man, dialogue
Barely.
was worse, but it was. No, I'm kidding. It was way
Oh,
better.
my goodness.
man.
Way better than the
love it.
debates. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad Batch
so.
though, it's fun.
Bad
It
Batch
is,
is fun.
it
We're
is.
excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
I feel like a turn's coming.
Yeah,
Not-
I feel like.
I
yeah,
feel like
agree.
some episodes that are
I
gonna-
think what you said is right. I think we'll get back to some crosshair stuff either next episode or
it'll get heavy
yeah,
again.
soon.
I feel like it.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
I think
coming.
so. Because otherwise, why would they have the first episode showing all
That's
the
what I'm saying.
conflict?
They
and,
showed
like,
all that.
Yeah.
There's
his struggle, just trying to figure out what's going on. Where's he standing? All
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
definitely more coming. sure.
Mando though, right around the corner.
Mando
1 month
season
away
3.
from today.
Man,
How about that?
1 month.
1 month.
Came out with that fun featurette
and it's
today.
a short month.
They did.
I
Short
know.
month, that's true.
Yeah.
Fun featurette talking
that was
about. I love it too because I liked I liked they had some of the fan reactions in there,
They did.
and it just
Yeah.
reminded me of like,
YouTubers
oh
and stuff.
man, when they revealed obviously
Man.
Baby Yoda, Grogu was crazy reveal, but then also when we had the
Alexa's got some stuff to share.
know.
yeah, she wanted to
Apparently,
join.
hey, pipe down.
Come on.
Did we call your name? Did we pull you out? Did we? Did we rub your lamp? Did
We're
we
not
invite you
taking
here?
guests
Bring you here?
right now, Alexa.
Why does Victor hate lettuce? That's what she's looking up.
Hey Alexa, why does Victor Fleming hate lettuce? Great.
Oh,
Fail.
The eighth
That's
letter
not
of
it.
Victor Fleming is F.
that makes sense.
That says it
solves
all.
it.
I
That's
mean,
it right there.
what else needs to be said?
Nothing. I think we're done. Nate, where can the
That's
people
it.
find us?
Yeah, Mando. The
Mando.
thing they showed today, though, I thought was cool, highlighting how
The Luke thing was
the
seeing
Luke
that.
thing. I really like the Luke thing, touching on people's reactions, actually showing some of the reaction videos, but also just how massive Grogu became.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about how the Mandalorian, the show, took the world by storm, but then they like highlight, like the show's obviously great.
Yeah.
But Grogu just caught so many people's attention because of it's Grogu.
Mhm.
Adorable.
I will say because of that, and I think because of the phenomenon that is Grogu, that is the Mandalorian in general. I mean, as much as we love all of these other shows, we are as big of fans as Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Yeah.
the series, as maybe anybody out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely adore that show. Love Andor. Everyone knows as far as the seller, the merchandise, everything, it doesn't beat. And again, my my house right now is a is
Yeah.
a great example because my son Isaiah has 100 things that have Baby Yoda on it.
Mhm.
Because one, he loves it. And he goes Goku, Goku, Goku. That's his version of
he
saying
says
Grogu.
3 words. Ball.
He says it. Notice we don't
Grogu?
we don't have Andor's head sitting on our table right here. That would be
We
grotesque.
don't.
We do have Grogu though.
That would
Yeah.
be a huge marketing fail. You could
Cassian
buy
Andor
Cassian's
sitting on
head.
there.
We got Grogu though.
Grogu's right
Um,
there.
But we have
Yeah.
Grogu. What this reminded me of with the featurette is what we were watching today, is that while we haven't had, and I felt this way the other night when I watched the trailer during the big football game, is when it was announced the new trailer, and me waiting for the trailer,
Yeah.
felt like, we haven't had a new Star Wars film in theaters, but Mando is kind of that
It
right now
is,
as far as
yeah.
Like
it
it's
is.
been so long since the
And not
last
that Obi-Wan
season, everyone's
and not
anticipating
and
it.
not that Andor wasn't marketed or that Obi-Wan wasn't marketed or Book of Boba Fett, but you can tell when they put you can tell that Marvel put more of its marketing effort behind Infinity War than it did Captain Marvel.
Right.
Again, one is
Yeah.
has all of the characters, one's more centered on this, so that's maybe even a bad comparison. But you can tell when the company gets all behind something.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that does feel like the fact that they did it at a release of the football game it reminded me when at the next commercial break, the
Force
premiere
Awak-
of the
Force
Force Awakens, worldwide trailer, and I was
Yeah,
like,
and
I can't
everyone's-
believe
yeah.
and then you hear that first John Williams note, ding, and it starts doing,
Yeah. That was
But
Finn stands up.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Exactly.
Stormtrooper? What is this?
Who are you? So good.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
yeah.
Mando is definitely the current Star Wars movie esque thing, or at least treated that way.
Yeah.
And I was getting those chills watching the featurette of like the big one that they've. And again, it also just watching it too. You can tell it's the one that they've put the most money in.
Yeah.
Visually, it's while the others are great, this feels the most movie-like. I think as far as Andor looks movie-like because it's on location, it's practical,
Different,
a lot
yeah.
of the stuff.
Yeah.
This has that mystical element that I think is always kind of some of my favorite combination of Star Wars, of the serious with the goofy, with the mystical, with the dark saber, with the element of the Mandalorian, the Mandoverse, Favreauverse of you have no idea where the story's going. And like that's this
Yeah.
blank slate of
It
no
really
matter what
is,
happens
yeah.
in Andor. And I think that show is as solidly written, if not the best written thing we've had
It's fantastic.
on the
but
Disney
we
Plus stuff.
know where
But we
it
know what
ends.
happens after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea where Din Djarin's going. We have no idea what's happening with Mandalore. We have no
I
idea.
know.
what's
Honestly, it
happening.
raises more questions because
Night
we're
of
like,
a Million Tears is what's happening.
But no, you're right, because it actually raises more questions of like, in the end, where is Grogu? Like, what is the long term? What happens?
I know in that one part of the trailer, he's by himself.
Are you talking about when he's using the Force
Yeah.
there on that creature?
Yeah,
He's by himself. I actually think this season 3 is going to be more cinematic in that
Yeah.
I don't think everything's going to be point of view Mando.
No.
I
kinda
I
agree.
feel like we're going to get stuff
I agree.
that all these different characters that we've seen are going to have their own.
I think so, especially
You know
as
what I
they
mean?
start
Yeah.
tying a lot of this, like they said, things are going to meet up, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
especially as they start doing that, they already kind of teased it with the Book of Boba Fett. They
Mhm.
jumped for 2 episodes to
Go ahead.
Mando.
Yeah, no, we're
Right.
not doing anything important. What do you got?
Siri.
Yeah,
First
okay.
election.
that's-
Now, Siri?
Favreau, you guys are both hitting on something. Favreau mentioned in a recent interview that season 3 was the biggest in scope. It was
Yeah.
the
Oh,
biggest in
okay.
scale
Yeah.
so far.
And I
That
think
it
you can
felt
even
that it's going
tell-
to feel bigger. It's going to feel.
Yeah.
You can tell from the
Multiple,
trailer
yeah.
too. Like the trailer looks like the shot of them going through the
Oh, with the
Mhm.
the
fighters
water and the
everything,
fighter
too?
going through
Oh,
like
it's
the little
amazing.
like valley there around the mountains and stuff. You're like,
Amazing.
okay, this just looks very cinematic. And
Mhm.
I think part of the feeling and why I loved that little, thing, that the tribute they did today that they released, it reminded me how big the Mandalorian show actually is. Because I think
massive.
because we've never witnessed it other than Disney Plus,
Mhm.
it's easy to I know obviously there's a huge following.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the current Star Wars fans, everybody's watching Mando.
Mhm.
It brought in a lot of new Star Wars fans, The Mandalorian did.
Mhm.
But because of just the essence of how we're taking in the content, sometimes it's easy to forget how big it is. It's not like I went to go watch like Spider-Man No Way Home and I remember the reactions of everybody in the theater when Toby and Andrew and all show up, and then it's like everybody on social media is talking about it. Everyone on social media is talking about this too, but it's like it's different because you're watching it, either together at home. And I think seeing that tribute and showing the different people's reactions to Luke Skywalker walking in and talking about how globally Grogu became and stuff like that, I was watching it and like, this feels like something I should be watching 20 years from now, talking about the show and how big it was.
Yeah.
But they're doing it now.
Right.
Like it felt like I was like, it reminded me just how big it actually is. Like it's crazy.
And the feeling a little bit too, it reminded me of is with the release of the new trailer, with this showing, this little featurette, it does kind of feel like, while we haven't had, again, Star Wars movies since 2019? Was that when, 2019 is when Rise of Skywalker came out. This does kind of feel, it almost feels like we are currently getting almost our new trilogy, or like season 1 is its own, like think of season 1 as its own movie, then it had a little bit of a break, then season 2 is its own thing, and then now we're like, all of us are invested, we're all waiting for the next installment of this story, this universe, while the other things, what separates it, as much as, and I think Andor season 2 is going to be really exciting in this way too, but a lot of shows, especially in the Disney Plus format, have both positives to it and a little bit of negative to it, of sometimes it's not lasting because it's a one season thing. People talk about it when it's on, and then that's kind of it, and then it kind of goes off. A perfect example, a show that I think all of us watched and really liked was WandaVision. WandaVision came out the same time as Mandalorian came out. WandaVision was the first Marvel thing to come out.
Right.
They're both on. They're both crushing it. All this stuff is happening, but because WandaVision's a one-off thing, do you hear anybody talking about WandaVision currently, or do you see a lot of WandaVision merch or anything like that? Even though to me, it's still one of the best Disney Plus things I've seen. I really loved WandaVision.
Really cool.
And obviously, it's different. This is Star Wars. There's different things as far as marketing, and Marvel has a whole other machine going. But the fact that it's this recurring characters, the fact they have a massive hit in what Grogu ended up becoming, but then also what didn't end up becoming. As iconic as Baby Yoda is, almost all the merch stuff you see is either Grogu or Grogu with Mando. Like the Mando helmet is like more iconic than ever right now. And you see a lot more of the Mando helmet than you do Boba Fett stuff. Even though Boba Fett's been around for 40 years.
Oh, for sure.
That's right.
It's just it's one of the things that's really been a hit. Pedro Pascal's never been bigger as far as an actor. There's all these things that are kind of lining up. I liked in this featurette the John Favreau.
What are you known for? I'm the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
I'm the Mandalorian. Yeah.
I love the John Favreau.
You'll never know it though, because I don't take my helmet off.
John Favreau. He's
You're
if you wait till the end of
Mandalorian, no
season
more.
two.
Yeah, just wait long enough. Wait long enough.
John Favreau in this little featurette too was one of the small interview things. Was like, did you know that this was going to be a massive hit? And he's like, I just want to write Star Wars.
Yeah, he was like,
I was just happy I got to write Star Wars.
Or glad to not be back, but glad to write Star Wars.
I was happy writing Star Wars.
Yeah, dude. I can't
yeah,
wait.
McClunky means curtains.
I definitely think, as much as I love...
That actually could have been in there.
Yeah,
McClunky
good.
means
McClunky
curtains.
As much as I
curtains.
love the other shows,
Means
Kenobi
curtains.
and I think some moments in those shows, even Andor, are some of my favorite Star Wars moments.
Some of the most emotional stuff I've ever seen is
in
in
general.
Obi-Wan.
The speech with Skarsgård and Andor, and then
Luthen.
with
Luthen
Luthen,
with,
and then obviously Luke and Grogu and Mando's helmet coming off. Like, there's so many amazing moments. But even the Vader Kenobi encounter with the mask and that whole dialogue
I've
is
watched
one of my
that a
favorite
million
moments. I've
times.
watched that probably more than like any other scene. But there's something about Mando, it being the first Disney Plus show, everyone kind of coming around that, and it now being further along in its story, and also being new and kind of fresh in its own thing, and not following characters that we know previously from the Skywalker saga, makes me feel like this is the show I think I get most excited for. Like I think I'm most excited for this to come back. Also, just knowing the direction of kind of where it's going with Mandalore and stuff like that, I'm excited to dive deeper into all that.
Very excited. I think it's something that while it's been away, one of the great things is we've had so much Star Wars that's been going on, but it's not until like recently when I've been rewatching some of the. I was rewatching Book of Boba Fett, but now I've been rewatching some Mando stuff the last couple of weeks, and I almost forget how much I love that show. Like
Mando?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
That because we're so focused on the next thing always that's coming up. It
Yeah.
was what was in our radar was okay, we got Book of Boba Fett. We got Obi-Wan. We got Andor.
And when you
Oh,
follow
and then
other
Mando's, and then
franchises
Mando's gonna
too,
come
it's
back,
the
and then
same
when you
thing.
get your first trailer of Mando and you see
oh,
Grogu and
yeah.
everything, like,
You're like, oh.
oh,
That's
this does feel
right.
kind of different too.
Yeah.
As far as it feels big, feels
Yeah.
as big as it feels as big as they've got. That
Yep.
again kind of plays on a lot of the original feels of the Western, the samurai, but now also with what Star Wars started pretty contained and then exploded. As far as A
Mhm.
New Hope is this pretty like it's this big galaxy, but even George talks about when he's making the first, he's like, if you notice there aren't many locations. He's like the whole thing in the first is not supposed to be like here's over a year. It's like no, it's like this happens. The droids come down. They have the plans. We're introduced to the princess and Darth Vader. Then all of a sudden, our hero gets introduced. Our hero's aunt and uncle's killed. All of a sudden, he's off and going. His mentor dies. All of a sudden, you're in the fight. All of a sudden, blow up Death Star, done. Like, that's the movie.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Empire explodes, and then Jedi explodes, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger in scope, which
Yeah.
those movies cost a lot more to make. That kind of feels like Mando. Mando season 1 was very much the like lone wolf, the cub, that classic,
Yeah.
just following the central story. And then 2 kind of exploded. Like, whoa, where is this going with Luke and all of this?
Right.
I mean, at the end of
Yeah. And then you
episode
get the
8
stuff
with the
in
dark
Boba
saber,
Fett.
we went, what's going on with the dark
Right.
saber?
Yeah.
Then you get Boba Fett coming in there. Now it's like, and we know there's still big surprises that are going to come in this season.
Yeah.
They've said that. I know that
Yeah.
they're like every season, people. I think it was Pedro Pascal who was like,
The stuff about Luke didn't get out.
He said that the stuff about Grogu didn't get out. The stuff about Luke, which I had heard recently, someone, maybe Ken Knapsack, was talking about how some of the things that were leaked or that were allowed to be leaked about season 2 was true, but it was because they're like, we're giving you something because this is going to distract you from the biggest thing we're
What's
hiding, which
really
is the
going
Luke
on?
thing.
Mhm.
And
Interesting.
that the fact that in this time of leaks being all over the place and us being, oh, so-and-so was cast as Ezra, so-and-so was cast as Sabine,
Yeah.
and all this stuff, that no one had any idea that Mark Hamill was helping do some face stuff, that they were going to come in, that Luke was going to be
It
in
is
it.
crazy.
The fact they kept that a secret, we talked in our podcast for weeks about,
Not
well,
possible.
it makes sense story-wise, but obviously that's not
We would've
that's not gonna
heard about
happen. We would know.
that.
That can't.
Mhm.
Also, they can't bring How would they do it? They can't
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan, they're gonna
What are they gonna
recast.
do?
What are they gonna do? It's gotta be. It's gotta be dead Mace Windu. That's gotta be it.
One-handed mace.
I love it.
I'm gonna
I'm
throw
just
this
rambling,
out
but I
there.
can't wait for. I can't
Yeah.
wait for Mando season 3.
Mando season 3. I'm just gonna throw this out there. You can give me how likely this is.
Oh, I'll
to
catch it. You
happen.
throw it. I'll catch
You
it.
can just give me
Oh, we
thumbs
haven't
up,
done this in a
thumbs
while.
down. How likely this
Maybe
is
that's
to
why the
happen.
views are down.
We haven't done
This
a
is definitely about to be why the views are down.
podcast.
Podcast.
Throwing this out there, what are the chances that in season 3 we see Gungi?
Wow.
I'm just gonna-
That's an easy one.
It's an easy one, really?
He's
kidding.
living his life and
There's no
and
shot.
in that nice
not leaving.
that
Could
nice
you
tree
imagine?
house.
He's gonna help rebuild.
Mando takes a mission to Kashyyyk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm on the Bad Batch kick.
And then all of a sudden, Chris
Why not?
Anthon's like takes a sip of his beer and looks like Gungi with Gungi 1 tooth sticking up.
He's
And all of
still
sudden
got a snaggle
he's
tooth.
still got that snaggle tooth hanging
I
down.
love it.
I love it.
Oh man.
Gungi.
But
yeah,
in all seriousness, what and this doesn't have to be stuff that like has to happen, but are there any things that you think just based off the information that we've gotten from the trailer and stuff like that you think we might get, or where the season might be heading? I feel like we're going closer and more deeper into the Mandalore lore, right?
Yep,
The
yep,
lore of
yep.
Mandalore and the dark saber and
Battle for the throne.
yeah.
yep.
I think that's
Um,
coming.
Are there any other predictions or characters you think could be tied in that would
Cloning.
make sense based off all
We're
that?
getting back to some of. I think
Saw
we're
him in
getting
the
to what
yeah.
the,
Saw him in the trailer.
Yep.
So what?
We saw the I guess it's the doctor.
Yeah, Dr.
was-
Pershing.
who was
Yeah.
who was cloning with the client. We saw
Yeah.
him in there.
I
What
do think
about
we'll get
Moff
back to that.
Gideon?
Moff Gideon.
Like as far as where's it going? As far as the
I think we're gonna find out who Moff Gideon answers to.
Mm.
I think we're gonna find out because obviously we know the Empire, the tier. The
Yeah.
Emperor's at the top,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So Emperor and Vader, and
some
we know
people
everybody
think
else.
this might introduce.
We know
Thrawn.
everybody else is.
Ooh.
Some
Yeah.
people think Thrawn might be introduced in this, and that's what's going to really set up Ahsoka.
That would
I
make a
could
lot
see
of
that.
sense.
Because
I
they
could see that.
teased Thrawn. They mentioned him by name in season 2.
Yeah, I think that's
That's
likely.
maybe the
I think
person
that could
that-
definitely happen.
And
I
Moff
think
Gideon's.
I made the prediction early on. I don't remember when because it's been so long since we did all of our reviews for season 2, but we always joked about how cloning. I was always saying cloning's tied to is the overarching thing over everything, and I still think that's the case even with Mando. But Thrawn being tied in to me makes perfect sense why we don't ever see Thrawn, and we've never seen Moff Gideon and those characters before this.
Yeah.
And why the Emperor being in the shadows and that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Why we wouldn't see them because he's got Thrawn doing this whole secret stuff.
It's a whole separate thing. Yeah.
He's got a whole separate thing that he
Mhm.
doesn't want the rest of the Empire to know about.
Mhm.
And it's all part of his contingency stuff. It's all part. So to me, it makes sense why those characters can still be alive, still be around, and not be part of the Skywalker
Yeah.
saga as a
Yep.
whole because they're doing their own thing. Which in this case, we're kind of seeing now start to unfold
Mhm.
potentially with trying to get Grogu, trying to start incorporating the cloning of Force sensitive, trying to work towards Palpatine's Snoke and even
Mhm.
himself, like.
Yeah.
Starting down that path.
Yep.
I think that's where all of it's heading.
Mhm.
But-
I think that's the Grogu side. I do think they're going to split up again.
Grogu and Mando.
Yeah. I think that'll
like
happen.
intentionally or
Maybe. Wow, you're awful chatty. Grogu. She found Grogu. Maybe intentionally, maybe not. But I do think that they're going to be on they have a separate path. They have a separate path.
Grogu and
Yeah.
Mando.
Yeah, Grogu's not a sidekick. Mando saved Grogu, and he went to Luke and got a little bit of training, chose to leave Luke, but he still has kind of a separate path. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's interesting in the trailer.
It feels like he needs to do both.
He's got his own.
He can't just. I
Path
don't think
to
he
take.
needs.
Because he just came back, and we just came back from Luke, so that separate
Yeah.
path is kind of closed for now. But he's going to use what he's learned from that.
Yeah,
That'll be interesting to see.
but he came back for a reason. He came back to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's necessarily he's gonna. Mando's path is to. I think he's the rightful. With the Darksaber, he's the rightful heir to the throne, and I
Yeah.
think he's gonna move into that role. But
Yeah.
that doesn't. Grogu is not necessarily. There's something else for Grogu. He's gonna want to connect with people of his own kind. At some point,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he is going to want to
Well-
pursue Jedi training at some point. At that point it was a choice, and the only choice was
Yeah.
Mando.
And it does feel.
But that doesn't
like,
mean he's done with that. He's still.
It feels like in order to protect himself too, it's almost a necessity to get training.
Mhm.
Like it's one thing to suppress it to be in hiding, but
Yeah.
as he continues to grow, it feels like there needs to be you can suppress that stuff, but also need to know how to channel it and use it and develop and become stronger.
Yeah.
So that you can protect
right.
yourself
Mhm.
and the people around you. We've seen him save Mando a ton of times, and that was without him.
Right.
That was more reactionary, it seemed like. But
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting because they said he's been trained. But
he's had training.
he's
He
had
has
training
training.
because he was in the Jedi Temple and
Yep.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But that what he doesn't use now is because he's suppressed it. So it's really like he just needs to remember the
Open it
things
up.
he's
Yeah.
learned. It seems like a lot of it.
Mhm.
What's interesting is what they showed in the trailer, flashback to what looks like maybe another view of Order 66.
Yeah. Say it.
What were you
I was
say?
just gonna say, do you think we see Hayden Christensen?
I don't
Oh,
know.
man.
I don't know if he's that close to Grogu. How does Grogu get out
The
of
only
there?
reason I say that is because after the flashbacks we saw from Kenobi
That's what. Look,
of
yeah.
seeing
Yeah, it
him
looks like-
in,
It's the same thing.
it looks like almost. I mean, some of the Jedi looked like, and I haven't actually done the shot-for-shot comparison yet, which I probably should. Maybe you guys in chat, or if you're watching this, can comment, let us know. But
Chad's always watching.
Chad.
it looks. I only saw it at a glance, but could those Jedi that we saw be the Jedi that we see Anakin fighting in the hologram that Obi-Wan looks at? Because I do know that
Looks
there
like
was,
someone's coming through
there
the
was a
door.
green lightsaber, a blue lightsaber
Right.
in the hologram that he's fighting the Anakin's fighting these Jedi, and one's got longer hair.
We're seeing it from
And we
the other
saw that in
angle.
the trailer, so it
Yeah.
looks like we're almost getting. Could those be those Jedi?
Could
Mhm.
be.
And another reason why I think it's possible that we get Hayden Christensen for two reasons. One, I underestimated that Luke would ever show up, and they did that. So I don't think it's a long shot. Plus, he already came in and filmed that those scenes for Kenobi, the flashback of Order 66 going through with the 501st. Like, they already filmed some of that stuff. They could have done a handful of takes and filmed more of it and at that moment and in anticipation for Mando too. If they knew that this is where the story was going, that we're going to do flashbacks in all these different shows,
Yeah.
they could have filmed all that.
So do you think this season we finally get, maybe in that flashback, the answer of who helps Grogu escape the Jedi Temple?
We do. I think we do.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I went back and looked at Ahsoka's the dialogue, what she says, and she does. Because I saw some people kicking this around because everyone's wondering who saved Grogu, and I saw people kicking it around like
Maybe you didn't.
maybe no one did. Maybe
Maybe
he
he
just got
did.
out
Maybe
himself.
he
did.
Like he was trained. We found out he was trained.
Yeah,
Maybe
he
got
wasn't a
himself.
little baby. He's
Yeah.
50 years old.
He's 50 years old. Maybe he somehow snuck out or got out himself or whatever. Maybe that's how the Empire ended up, the clone, they ended up getting him or whatever. And then because I heard that, I went back and looked at the dialogue, and Ahsoka specifically says that someone took him from the Jedi Temple during Order 66. Now, she doesn't say they were necessarily good or bad.
Right.
So we might see him. We might be assuming that someone saved him just because he's not dead.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, what if it's actually, either maybe Anakin, but somebody, actually takes him out and doesn't save him. That's when he got captured. He's been getting tested on and all this stuff for some time now. And he's been with the cloning
Be a while.
people, and it wasn't maybe until we see him in Mando, where Mando basically takes him out of that situation in the first season.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was
True, we don't know when he was captured.
and it does. Yeah, we don't know when he was captured.
We have no
so
idea how long he's been with the
It
cloners.
almost makes more sense that would be the time for him to have gotten captured than for him to have actually escaped with a Jedi and then get captured after that.
The only thing
know.
I can think of there is what's interesting is why
I just thought it was
why would Palpatine
Yeah.
in the same day that he's wiping out all the Jedi be like, well, except I want to capture one of them,
Because
so that he still has
Yeah.
his contingency for cloning.
because it
and for
is
powers.
I think it's because it's who it is.
it's Yoda.
Because Yoda.
Because it's that.
He's also been his
Nemesis.
adversary.
Yeah.
There's something about,
Or at least the
maybe there's
species of-
something about that species that has
and
a
knowing
propensity to
the longevity.
a higher.
We've seen some Yaddle recently.
Could be that he has a higher ceiling, as a propensity to force powers.
because
And that's the
everyone we've
perfect
seen-
one to use for his
Every-
testing.
We know there's longevity in the life.
They live forever.
They live forever.
Yeah, a long time.
Long time, 900 years, 800 years.
Mm-hmm.
And every Jedi or every species we've seen, every character we've seen of that species, there's been 3 of them now:
Mhm.
Yaddle, Yoda, and now Grogu,
Mm-hmm.
are all Force sensitive.
And they're very rare.
And they're rare. At least they seem
So-
to be rare, strong.
So what we don't know is that Anakin is the one who took him out.
That would
Yeah.
be very interesting.
And I think what
That would be cool.
yeah, because I wonder if it's possible that. Yeah, I just think it was interesting that Ahsoka didn't say he was saved.
Yeah.
Someone
Said
took him.
Someone took him from the Jedi
had to
Temple
be
during Order 66. And she said took him from the Jedi Temple during Order 66 and put him in hiding. That was another thing, part of the quote.
So
That also doesn't mean good or bad. I think everybody initially jumped on that thinking,
Protection.
put him in hiding as
We're
protection.
thinking like
but
Obi-Wan hiding.
No.
I still think it is protection. Palpatine putting him in hiding is protecting Grogu from his own Order 66, knowing that all the clones are brainwashed to kill any Jedi. And he doesn't want Grogu killed.
Yeah.
They don't want Grogu killed. They want Grogu captured so that they can
It's an interesting
do
theory.
their plan.
The only thing I think about that which makes it less possible is that somehow how would he ever get away from them?
That's what I was thinking. How could he escape Anakin?
If he was already with them, who would have the power to
We've
get
seen
him
Anakin
out?
the way he hunts for Kenobi, or the way he
You know what I
hunts.
mean?
If this is a big contingency, if he's that, it's one thing if he slips through the fingers of the
Yeah.
clones who are there trying to grab him or trying to get him and he escapes. But if he's actually taken by,
He could actually be one of many that are being tested that is showing
be.
potential, and that's why he's on this more remote location.
could be, yeah.
And they're reporting this back to the Emperor
Well, how many did we see?
as a very
Yeah.
viable option, but it's not necessarily that's the one.
I can't wait for us to get
Yeah,
back
that's
to the
true.
cloning.
You know?
I
I
can't
don't
wait
know.
for us to get back to the cloning stuff
I know
with him. Just
I
the
mean,
purpose of
they've teased
what
different
they're doing with
cloning
Grogu.
stuff. I think in both seasons. So we'll get to it at some
That's
point.
why
in
it
this
feels like a
season.
different path, because that stuff isn't really in the whole fight for Mandalore stuff. That
No,
feels
that's
like
a
a
separate
separate
journey.
It does.
storyline.
It does.
And if he's on his own journey, then we could play those out. Especially if they're going to different locations, they could actually be. Grogu could be pursuing his own history, like what am I? How did I get this way? Why am I?
will we ever get
Who
Is
are
it
my family?
possible
What do
now?
I
I'm
do?
gonna go
the
crazy.
planet of where
What's my
Yoda's
place in
from?
all this?
Yeah.
You know?
Or where
Well,
Grogu's from.
I don't necessarily think this will happen just because of the pair of Grogu and Mando, but you talking about them feeling like they have kind of separate paths. Is it possible that whenever Mando ends, right, the show, that we do ultimately see them going separate ways? Or do you think that they're just such a pair that won't happen? I don't know.
I don't know. It
The
feels
only
like
reason
it'd be
I
hard
say
for them
that-
to split up right now
Feels like that would be hard for them
because they
just from
split up
a-
and then came back already.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I don't mean in this season. I just mean at any point, end of the story for Mando, because obviously Grogu's gonna live on for forever. Like,
Yeah, right.
Mando knows that he's gonna have a different purpose eventually
That's
at
right.
some point than just being with me.
Right.
And Mando feels like we're going down the Mandalore fight for the throne type stuff, Darksaber. It just makes me wonder, like, Grogu almost feels like like he fits more with, and I know Ahsoka said I can't train him, but it feels like Ahsoka's storyline with
That feels like the right
the world
world.
between worlds and like being like almost like an overarching protector of the Force.
You're
And like,
basically just saying
overall
he needs to go
good.
to Mortis.
that's what Grogu.
Just saying he needs to end up. Some
That's what I'm
people's theories
saying.
are that he ends up on Mortis with Ahsoka,
That's where I was going.
and that's why they're not involved in the events of.
That's exactly where I was going.
Of
I
the
wonder.
Rise of Skywalker or any of that. That's
Yeah.
why neither of them come to the aid of that fight or anything. Is
Well, when
that's
Mando
why that's just a theory
Yeah.
some people have.
when
but
Mando ends, and wouldn't it be crazy if the offshoot is Grogu actually shifts shows,
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I said I don't know if they'll split up.
plays up to Mando to that point,
And
and
then
has
goes
a
to
separate
Ahsoka.
path, and this separate path leads him to Ahsoka and Thrawn, and that connection with Thrawn and Mando is actually
Yeah,
back to where it is about cloning.
yeah.
That is the mission, and Grogu fits on that
Because I
side
do-
interesting though that
do
Grogu's
believe-
been with her twice though already now,
twice.
2 different times.
That's
But
true,
rem-
but
but
I think
he
that
is
was
still-
part of the hesitation was also, I think, because Ahsoka at the time was saying, I'm not the right one to train him because I've got this thing going on with finding Thrawn,
Yeah.
right? But
Then Luke was like, "Do you even want this? You're too attached to Mando. You need to go back with Mando."
I still
yeah, no, I know.
Right?
Yeah,
Or
no,
you can
I
choose.
agree.
He said you can choose.
I
don't
guess
know.
I'm trying to think more past that, like long term.
Mhm.
Like I'm
Yeah,
not
just
saying
full
this is
story
next.
arc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full story arc. I'm not saying this is next. This third season of Mando. I'm saying full story arc. It feels like Ahsoka's never gonna die. Filoni will never kill Ahsoka.
No, Filoni.
Filoni would
Filoni
walk
will-
out on
will-
Star
It'll
Wars
be
before
huge.
ever killing Ahsoka.
Filoni will be on his deathbed, and he'll go, and then you'll see what's in his hand. He's got a crumbled up script for an Ahsoka series,
Ahsoka's like,
another
"Oh."
Ahsoka movie or something like that. He's like, just get it made. And Favreau, who's older than Filoni, who's just still kicking, is like, yeah, sure, yeah, we'll make the pictures.
Yeah, Megan.
We'll do it, sure.
Is
I
it
just
Titans?
feel like
McClunky means curtains. He's
I-
done. Pull
yeah.
the plug.
I think what I'm seeing is that Grogu sees himself as Mando's protector. That's what I think.
it does feel like that.
So he's not going back there to be safe. He's going back to Mando as
Feels
the
Mando needs him.
protector. So
Yeah.
when Mando gets to a place where things are settled, Grogu has another. His role
Yeah.
there will
Yeah.
be fulfilled, and he'll move on to whatever else
Yeah.
Man.
his
Is
mission
it possible that
Maybe not.
this whole thing leading down Mandalore becomes Mando basically either wins it or takes the I guess the title of Mandalore and says I'm like that's it. It's over. This whole idea of Mandor.
Mandor.
Like basically
Mandor.
You say Mandor?
Yeah, Mandor.
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 The whole idea of
Taking him
Mandalore,
enough.
like kind of just like brushes it aside, almost like the king that everybody wanted this person to be king, and he's like, I don't want it,
Mhm.
type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's kind of feels like his character. Like he even said, like, here, take it, the dark saber. I don't care.
Exactly.
I
Doesn't
don't want it.
But that makes him the best king.
Exactly.
It's the best, yeah.
But-
that's what I want.
We also know like Mandalore. There's not really anything left to rule over. Like, what
Nothing.
is there? And so, what if it comes to a point of him realizing like Mandalore should no longer be these cliques of clans. We should be Mandalorians, and that's that. Like, I don't know.
What's
I
happening
just
with
find
the
a hard
armor?
time. I don't really see him also just staying on Mandalore either. Like, I don't see that
Mm.
being his thing.
And what's happening with the armor? What I see on YouTube is the armor is bad.
That's true.
But no, the
Yeah.
armor is another character in this whole thing that's
The
still
armor
out
is
there,
bad.
still very. But like, it's interesting in the trailer. It seems like he's talking to the armor, and he's like, "I'm going, to pay for my transgressions and make things right." Essentially, he feels like he's still with the "this is the way" type
Oh
of
yeah,
a thing.
yeah, for sure.
But what's funny is that's still the cult.
Yeah,
According
he's
to
not
Yeah.
bought
Bo-Katan.
into everything.
I think he's moving
According to
past
Bo-Katan,
that.
do you think that he's kind of saying that he's I took off my helmet, but it was a mistake, or do you think he's just kind of saying that, and he's gonna go there and he's like, now that I'm in charge, let's see what's
It's-
worked, what hasn't worked, or because again, it's interesting because while the best king or best leader is I like the idea always that's the one who doesn't want it. The people who want it are the ones who are usually the most corrupt because they just
Mhm.
want the power.
Yeah.
The one who it just falls in their lap are usually good leaders. But also, I wonder how much he knows about Mandalore, because
I
he's
think
just
that's-
been raised in the
I
cult.
think that's part of the reason he's going.
I think
Yeah.
we saw
He wants to learn all of
Grogu's.
what is
Yeah.
what else.
I think in the book of Boba Fett we saw Grogu's story of this is who you are. You're a Jedi. Let's get training. And we saw Grogu go through the whole. This isn't what I want to do.
This
Mhm.
isn't the way.
This isn't. No, I want to be. I need to be
At least
with
not
him.
now. He
Yeah.
needs
And
me
I
more.
think that's
he needs me more than I need this.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're going with Mando.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're not only is he going to find out a lot more about Mandalore and the Mandalorians and find out more about his like the cult group, but I think as a whole he's also going to go through that process. Like I do think he genuinely feels like I was wrong. I'm not sorry for it at all. I
Yeah.
was wrong. I'm not sorry for it. Like I'm not like begging like, "Oh, I didn't like I know I was wrong." Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he knows he was wrong. He knows he broke the rule. Doesn't feel bad about it, but still is like, "But I want to make amends, and so I'll go do this." That's how it feels like
Mm.
he is. And then as he goes down this path, he's going to realize, just like Grogu, this is who I think I'm being told I am, and who I've always been told I am. This is where I found my identity, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
It's just you and me. Like it's him and Grogu. So I feel like we saw that side of Grogu's story in the Book of Boba Fett, and him turning away from the Jedi training and going after to be with Mando. And now they're going down this path with Mando where he's going to do the same thing of like, I feel like this is me, but I've been told this is me, but now that's it.
And it's also interesting, kind of change gears just a little bit. One other thing from the trailer, with Carson Teva. I love that Carson Teva's back. But when we were talking about possibly Thrawn showing up in this series, near the end of the trailer, you get that something bigger is. I don't remember the exact quote, but he's like, "Hey, something bigger is going on out there," and but essentially, before we wake up and realize it's gonna be too late, like he feels now. Based on some of the books and things that are going on, I don't know if it's directly referring to like First Order, because I think that's going on in some of the Outer Rim stuff. But I believe he's talking about or in the Unknown Regions. I think is kind of there's a difference between Thrawn and I think the First Order. Just like there's two different
Final
things.
Order
Thrawn
and the
is
First
with the
Order,
Empire, the Final Order, and we don't even know necessarily where Thrawn. We don't have no idea where Thrawn is come Rise of Skywalker. You know what I mean? Because he's sent off with the Purgles and Ezra.
Yeah.
And
Ezra.
But it's going to be interesting to see what because we know, we know that with the cloning stuff with, the fact that they've made Dark Troopers, the fact that Moff Gideon wants the Darksaber, like, what's his purpose for the Darksaber? To rule Mandalore, I guess, is what he was trying to do with it, or I don't know why he had it or how he got it.
The Empire's always been trying to take over.
They're always trying to destroy Mandalore.
Yeah, they're always trying to take over Mandalore.
But there's all of these things that were circling around in just the earlier seasons, and now I love that Carson Teva is like the cop that just shows up a little. And he's got his notepad, and he's just like, so how many of them were there?
Shows up right after the incident.
Stormtroopers. Okay,
all right then. Yeah.
And you said there was a little green guy, pointy ears. How tall? He had a lightsaber.
Okay.
And he's just just always a step behind, but he's piecing all this together. He's a little investigator, detective. And so I'm really curious to see what I love that this season I feel like there's some storylines that we see laid out for us. Mandalore is the flat out, he says in the trailer, I'm going to Mandalore. And we knew that's the path for him.
Yep.
We also know some of the stuff that's been laid out with Grogu and some cloning stuff, and then also him leaving Luke. So now they've shown in the trailer him using his Force abilities more confidently. Okay. We see some of that coming back to him. But I do feel like there's this overall story, bigger galaxy that's that they've hinted at that now they're showing in the trailer a little bit. It feels like, there's also a big portion of this story. I don't think it's going to be the battle for Mandalore the whole season.
No, I don't think so.
It might be something that happens in the early season, might happen later, or it might be something that's happening, and while that's happening, there's something that's bigger on the outside
I think that's what's
still going on as well.
Yeah. I'm just...
Is that it?
No, I'm thinking about... you mentioned... You mentioned just Grogu and, lightsaber. Like, it got me thinking. He turned down Yoda's lightsaber. But is it possible we ever see him get his own?
Sure. I say yeah.
And if so, where did Jedi typically go to get their crystal?
Now you know where that is now.
I know. That's where I'm going.
But it's not. I don't think it's there yet.
It's not there yet.
No,
right?
It's not turned into.
It's not turned into Starkiller. It's not. Yeah, Ilum is the planet.
Yeah, we go get the crystals.
Still go.
You could still go.
What if
but
he's
we don't
there?
necessarily.
What if Grogu's there getting his crystal, and all of a sudden he hears, and he looks and they're drilling. They're starting to work there.
We don't know.
And they put up their first sign. It says Starkiller base construction. coming soon.
Coming soon.
2025.
Oh, man. But we don't know.
It's like the Death Star, except this one will not blow.
Because correct me if I'm wrong. It has started in Fallen Order.
Well, they're coring out the planets.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
they're
that's
on the base
in Resistance.
So,
remember in Resistance when they start coring out all the planets?
Exactly.
That's in
So my
they start
point
showing
is,
that.
they might. We don't know.
Let
I'll
me
have to
show
look
you
at the
means
time
that.
period, but
Have
we
to
don't know
look at the years.
exactly where the overlap is
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
Star
when
Killer
does start
Base.
construction.
And I'm not
There's still
saying
a lot
this,
of stuff
I'm not saying we're
unknown
going
about
there,
the start
but
of the First Order.
yeah, I'm not saying we're going there. I don't know, but I was just thinking if he ever did get his own lightsaber,
Yeah.
the place they typically go is Ilum.
Well, it also could
don't
be
know.
a not right now kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, remember Luke left Yoda and then came back. Remember?
Yeah.
Because the need to be there for his friends was more important than finishing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the end. It was just I
I don't have time for this now.
I
I've
can't
gotta
focus
go
on
now.
this. I have to go do
Yeah.
this. It's
Yeah.
more important. So
Right.
it could be that. I mean, who
And
better
similar to
train?
Grogu,
Yeah.
possibly,
Who better?
his connection to his friends was also inhibiting his ability to learn in that time.
That's
He couldn't-
right.
He couldn't
Couldn't
focus
focus
on it.
on
So
it. It
he's
was
like,
too important.
I
Yeah.
can't.
That's right.
He
You have
had
to
the
choose.
fear. He had all this stuff. And he had to go. And then when he
Yeah.
came back, all of a sudden the training was a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Makes
we
sense.
see more of Luke?
In this season,
In this season.
we got him in Book of Boba Fett. I think I would say probably not. If I had to guess.
I just wonder if they want to just throw him in just to keep showing off the technology advance.
Yeah, they're getting better.
You
better,
say, oh,
better.
yeah, look at this one.
Look at this one. Every time he looks better and better.
This one.
They're not They're never satisfied, so they always have to throw him in just to
That's
show
the
the
George Lucas of it
show
all.
the improvements.
Keep tinkering. This Luke
I got
says
another one.
McClunky.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean,
right there.
I do. Yeah, I don't know.
Because McClunky means
I think we
courage.
could get some Thrawn. I think we'll get back to some cloning.
Once we get into the storyline, we'll be able to tell better what pieces. Well, now we know it doesn't matter. Anybody's on the table. We were
And
kind
Luke
of
could be
limited
the-
by the scope of it. Like, it's not that big, but it was clearly that big.
yeah,
So, man.
Luke could be in the
Anybody.
Ahsoka series, too.
Yeah.
Because we never saw the
Yeah.
first time that Luke and Ahsoka met.
I'm just
You know?
wondering when
Yeah.
we're
We
gonna
saw-
we
see
never saw
Snoke.
that scene, and we never saw a conversation between those two.
When are we gonna see Snoke and Mando?
We saw him. He was an Andor.
No, we saw
Who
Snoke
knew
in
that
a
Snoke
tank.
just couldn't
Saw him
swim?
floating,
We saw him
right?
floating in a tank.
At least we
No,
thought
remember in
so.
Andor, he couldn't swim.
That's true. He
Snoke.
couldn't swim.
Couldn't swim.
Couldn't swim.
But he does go.
There has been a rumor.
Rumor, precious.
I wish you would just for
There's
one
been
take.
A rumor
There's not a single outtake of him busting into
There's not
Gollum.
one of. There's not one of him doing- on program, and then going no, and just spinning, just losing it,
Oh,
and
he's
then like
so great.
and Diego Luna's just like what do we do? They're like, just go with it, just go with it. He plays apes, he plays Gollum. Sometimes
It's his
plays
method.
he's
Come on,
played
Diego. Just
3 movies,
be patient with
multiple
him.
movies as Gollum, multiple movies as apes. Sometimes it just comes out.
Yeah.
He's forgotten form.
Oh man, the's just there's so many different directions.
And we got to get a couple
going.
episodes before I can even make predictions. Other than what we've seen, it's like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
There's
I know.
so many. I
Go anywhere.
I need to go rewatch the end of season 2 also
Yeah.
to hear just some of the specific
That's true.
dialogue. And rewatch the Book of Boba Fett episode, specifically
yeah.
when he's talking to the armorer.
yeah.
I want to hear some of that dialogue too
Mhm.
about the going to Mandalore, about
What if Ahsoka? What if they completely throw us off? This whole time they teased Ahsoka with Thrawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of set that up, and then they announced the Ahsoka show. We're like, okay, this is gonna be part of the Ahsoka show,
Right.
right? What if? I don't think this will happen. But what if that gets answered in like Mando, and then you realize the Ahsoka show's a whole
They're
nother,
going someplace else.
whole nother thing.
Wow.
Because as big as Thrawn is, I don't know if that will be the
That's
main
exciting.
thing for the Ahsoka show.
I think it could get us through.
I think it. I
We'll-
think.
we'll
I
see.
think
I
it
don't
could,
know.
but I feel like there's still an overarching like
Man,
thing
it's hard
for
to
Ahsoka.
guess. They could
I
do
feel
just
like
about anything, man.
Yeah, I
It's
don't- there's gonna
crazy.
be big
Ahsoka's
surprises
always
this week.
teasing with the world between worlds. She can't get enough of that these days.
Stay on one world.
I know.
Part of that's
for
part of
all
what
of
makes it so
other-
exciting is it's not it's like not it go anywhere.
It could go
It's
anywhere.
not locked.
Exactly.
We don't even know.
It could. I love it. Can't wait
It's
for it.
really crazy.
Before we wrap,
We're gonna stop.
I just meant wrap our
I'm
gifts.
just kidding. Yeah. Before we wrap our
Before we wrap
presents.
our gifts. Before we bring out Cassian's head. Remember that part of this episode?
This guy.
I screenshot a couple of things on Twitter, Star Wars related, that I thought were interesting. Some are some interviews, some quotes, some are some different
And you'll have to
news
come
things.
back next time
So-
to see it. No.
No,
Find
we're
out.
using up our good stuff right now. All right, listen to this.
Give it
So,
to me.
couple of things. One, saw this tweet. Star Wars Skeleton Crew has wrapped filming.
Oh, nice.
They're done filming.
This
I
sounds-
kind of always
sounds
forget
like a cool
Skeleton
one.
Crew's still out there. Like,
yeah.
and not that it was going anywhere, but when I'm thinking of like, oh, we got this, we got Acolyte, we got.
like, oh,
we
yeah,
got
Skeleton Crew.
I think that's coming before Acolyte, maybe.
That'd
We'll
be cool.
see.
I think that'd be
Um,
cool.
Yeah.
That'll
I'm
be
ready for
exciting.
Acolyte, too. That
A
sounds
few
sick.
different things. One, Alden Ehrenreich said he would love to return as Han Solo,
saw
although
that.
there are no imminent plans to do so. The story that I did, I really got to be. I feel like I
Yeah.
really got to be Han Solo at the end of it. That's kind of the arc of the story. That's the fun part, becoming that guy. That's the guy who's most fun to be. So I'd love to do it again. Just fun to know that he enjoyed it.
I
And
like
I
it.
think that people
Right.
are hopefully over time.
Yeah, and I know
think
Ron
that's-
Howard said that
Yeah,
he
he said
hasn't
there's
been
no-
approached by
there's been
anything at
no-
Disney. It just
know, I don't
as
think
far,
it's gonna
as of right
happen.
now, it just seems like the hope
I
of the
know.
fans.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
It
this
was a
was
solo.
going around. So this was
but
interesting.
if enough of us demand it,
Yes.
This was going around, and I've heard even a lot of people have some strong takes on this, and I feel like we'll have some good takes on this as well. Daisy Ridley was at a press junket and was asked specifically.
it's happening.
No.
I don't know.
This is a little more frustrating.
Oh.
This is about her experience with. This is not frustrating on her behalf.
Oh, I actually did see that.
She did a really good job answering this. I hate these leading questions where people
Oh, I know. They try to
assume-
set them up.
People assume
Oh,
that your
yeah.
opinion, that their opinion is fact, and that. So this is a
Yeah.
question, and she answered this question, and here's the text because it's part of like a Rolling Stone article that's
Yeah.
coming out. And the person from Rolling Stone, the writer from Rolling Stone, asked Daisy Ridley, "How did you feel about the rise of Skywalker and the way the films ended?" Sounds decent so far. Except
Yeah.
the question continues
Because
because that film retconned almost all of what transpired in The Last Jedi, as far as Rey's parentage and a bunch of other things. The message of The Last
lot
Jedi
of people do
appeared
this,
to be anyone can be extraordinary, but then that film message was erased with the final film. That was their question.
wrong.
And yeah,
yeah, they missed the
listen to this.
entire
Daisy
point of the
Ridley
movie.
responded in person and said, this is the text of it, but it was like, I don't know if I could have written that any better, which
Yeah.
makes me really excited that
Yeah.
she's like also thought about this and
Yeah.
also is like, I completely disagree with what you're saying. Because
Yeah,
there's sometimes actors are like, yeah, I don't know, I just do the job.
Yeah.
She doesn't say that. She said, well, JJ was actually the one who was like, she is of no one. So it wasn't just The Last Jedi where that was the message. That was already set up. What was interesting about the last one for me was that you can be a hero and not come from anywhere, or you can be a hero and come from literally the worst person in the universe. You are not your parents. You are not your grandparents. You are not your bloodline. And you are not the generations before you. So I always was like, sure. But it's beyond my pay grade. I say the words, I do the thing. I love the version that we had. I love the version that you can be anyone you want to be, but I also love the version where you can rectify wrongs and can't help what you're born into. And that was the end of the quote. And I was like, that was really well said. like,
Yeah.
great.
I would have
Right.
been more frustrated. I think I would first have been like,
Exactly.
I
That was
reject your whole premise to your
Yeah.
question. How'd you feel about that?
Did you
because
even
they
watch the
retconned
movie?
and
Because I was stuffed on. I'd rather get hit with a rake and watch some Rise of Skywalker jazz.
So I like that. I like that she pointed out because I do. What's funny is, while
No,
I
that
think
was
there's
great.
not a ton there, there's not as much explicit in The Force Awakens as there is in Last Jedi. What's funny is I do remember. Do you remember that all the quotes coming out of Force Awakens was Daisy Ridley was asked all these questions of who's your parents, and she said, "Oh, I thought they answered that in the film." And she said that a few times. She said, "Oh, I thought that they kind of answered that."
Yeah,
And a lot of people were like, "Oh, that means that she was hinting that it's like Luke or that it's Han." And that later, what we find out is, well, I think what she was going on was the people you're waiting for are never coming back.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But there is someone who is out there for that you need to find. Luke.
right.
They didn't. She literally
That was the
said,
whole
"Your
thing.
Yeah.
parents are not Luke." That's literally
right.
Yeah.
what Maz Kanata is saying.
Yes.
Your parents are not Luke. That's not who's.
But that
those
is
people.
who's waiting for you.
But that's not important who your parents were. It's what you're going to become.
Yes.
That's what.
And
that's
so
who you need
she's
to
like,
seek out, I
JJ set
guess.
that up
I
in The
thought they
Force
said
Awakens.
that. Yeah.
Ryan makes it more explicit and even surprised us where we had theories. I wonder who's going to be. And then when it
Yeah.
was Ray from No, I was like, that surprised me. And I also really love that of the idea that, yeah, you're not just
Yeah.
special because someone was special before you, that you can choose. And then I like the twist, because I don't think it retcons all. I think it doubles down on in what she said. Not only can you not be
They basically
born
were able
into
to
this
tell
great
both
circumstance where you don't need to grow up in a castle and be a prince to all of a sudden
messages. You don't have to be a
worthy of
Skywalker
king.
to be a Skywalker. That's
you
the
also
whole
can
thing.
have the chips stacked against you
Yeah.
and still turn into the hero despite literally having the worst circumstances possible.
Yeah.
And I thought we've had this on the podcast multiple times, this discussion, that I think it's very consistent. And while I think that maybe what Ryan had intended, which I do think, I don't think Ryan had intended that then it would be a reveal that it's a Palpatine. I think that Ryan's was what he had received was Rey from no one. And I really like that. And then I like the fact that I think it adds up that also Kylo would not be telling you the full truth, nor would he know the full truth. He's manipulating you. And that, yes, your parents were no one, but your grandparents was the worst person ever.
Right.
And that all lines up. But that's my long-winded response to that.
I
No,
am
I thought she answered it great.
I am so tired of.
I can't believe we're still
Why do
talking
they-
about this.
Why
I
do they
can't
set 'em
believe.
up
I
like
can't
that?
believe the
2017.
naivete of the viewers.
Yeah.
Ryan's I guess he's giving us too much credit. He's assuming that when you watch the bad guy, that sometimes bad guys lie.
Yes.
Why do we not watch the movie and go, wait a minute, that's the bad guy? Maybe he's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
In every movie
Or
ever,
maybe
is
he
the
doesn't
bad
know.
guy the one
Maybe
who's
he
always
is.
telling the truth?
He's trying to get his way. He'll say whatever it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah.
He's not going to tell you that. Why would he tell you the truth?
You're watching
It's so poignant the way Kylo says it. If that's not true, then it doesn't.
They come from nothing. You're nothing.
But you're
Nothing
not
to me.
nothing to me. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's exactly what you should say.
And that's
Yes.
exactly what she
Even
would
if
want to
it
hear.
is Luke.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's he going to say? Your dad's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, haven't you always known?
That's the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
She's leaving. That's
Yeah.
it.
I can say that.
If he says your parents, they're nothing.
No one.
But you're not nothing to me.
Yeah.
You matter to me.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It was so.
I think it's
It
genius.
seemed both compassionate at first and manipulative in the
perfect.
exact same
Exactly.
way.
It's exactly
You're
what you
nothing-
should
you're
say
nothing. You're
to get
belittling
your
you,
way.
But also, then I do this false build you up of you're nothing. You're no one. They're
That's right.
filthy junk traders. And
The
Jack,
If-
you,
traders.
you know,
If
Jack,
Ryan
you
had
doesn't, but you're not
known,
good tongue to me.
if
This is
Ryan had
great.
known, if he
We'll
and
go for
JJ
drinking
got
money.
together, he said, it's going to be Palpatine. And he wrote that, it would be exactly the same. In fact, it would have probably been better
It would be,
because he'd be like, I'm going to go a little bit farther with making her nobody.
yeah.
I'm going to make all of I'm going to use this a couple of times to drive home the point that they want her to think it's nobody.
Yeah.
Also,
Because that's how
people,
you get her
it
to
is
join
so
you.
interesting that people
great.
also are
Because
like,
Kylo doesn't want her to join the Emperor.
yeah,
He wants her to join him.
Yeah.
She literally crawls
perfect.
into a dark side
perfect.
cave, and in the cave, when she's hoping to get relief, what she sees is herself, and it's supposed to make her feel alone.
Yeah.
What would a dark side cave do? It build you up. Like this is
No.
us
Yeah.
as an audience. We're thinking, here's the big reveal, and it is both that she's Rey from no one. That there's not someone. It's not Harry looking into the mirror, and all of a sudden his
Yeah.
father and mother come behind him and like, hey, we're always with you, honey. Oh,
Right.
that's great. It's the most and it then cuts from her in that scene
Worse.
talking with Kylo, and now
Mhm.
she's more vulnerable than ever.
That's
now
right.
she's talking to the person who she shouldn't be talking to, and she said, I've never felt so alone. And then he's talking to her. They do the whole reach the hand
Yeah.
out, and then Luke comes in, wait, and blows up the
Yeah.
hut. It's just it is one of those things that as much as people can have obviously everyone can have their own opinion, should have their own opinions of things that happen. The Last Jedi, to me, is one of the things that I can't believe, and I know Ryan has even said in some recent interviews, because he was asked about some things, he said, I don't like coming straight forward about this is what means this, but I will say that if you are someone who thinks that the message in The Last Jedi, that the message overall, what you're supposed to take in is that the Jedi
Needed
let
to
the
end.
past die, I do question if those people even finished the movie.
Right.
He said-
You got to
he's
go
like,
to the end.
that is
Yeah.
what the villain says, and that's resolved in the third act of the same movie.
right.
Even our big hero, who is saying the Jedi need to end all this, he says flat out, it's not like, well, Luke says this, but then later we learn through Rey's
No, the dialogue
actions
is
that this.
literally says
No,
everything
he
you just said
comes
is wrong.
and says, I was wrong.
Right.
The Jedi
Yeah.
is, this is, I will not be the
Exactly.
last Jedi. The Resistance is reborn today. All of these things. And it's, to me, it seems to be the most fundamentally misunderstood
It's
movie. That, to me, is mind-boggling because it's not like you're misunderstanding Tenet. Tenet
Right.
is difficult. I love Tenet.
exactly.
I still don't fully understand Tenet
Yeah.
as far as certain pieces of it. Every time
Yep.
I've seen it, I'm like, oh,
Right.
This
I
guy
don't
can't keep
understand
up.
I know.
it. Tenet's it's
Is it going
nuts.
backwards or forward? What's the blue one?
I
Right.
don't. I in the theater. I wasn't watching The Last Jedi. Going, I don't understand what's happening.
Why do they hate Jedi?
What's going on?
Come on.
And at the very end, it's supposed to be uplifting. Luke gives himself for the cause, to make sure the Jedi, to make sure that the hope continues. It's
I
not
mean-
Luke going, "Forget it, lady," and just like stabs a lightsaber in his stomach.
In all fairness, we're not
it's
used to Star
unbelievable.
Wars movies being that nuanced.
Yeah, I will
That's
say I
true.
love
That
that.
Right,
is
so we're
true.
talking. This is the guy who did Glass Onion, Knives
We
Out.
love
Poker Face.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They're all about manipulating expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking you this way and going, no, it's over here. Actually,
Yep.
it's not even over there. It's over
It's here.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Jedi does that all through it. It's not here.
Yeah.
it's not
Especially
here.
the
Yep.
that
Yep.
doesn't do that. That
the
doesn't mean
Rashomon
that.
3 telling of the exact same event, and then you finally one's this
Yeah.
extreme, one's this extreme. Here's kind of the truth.
That's right.
When we finally get the
Right.
reveal.
I think it's the most intelligent Star Wars of all. It's the most
Yeah.
intelligent of all 9.
And yet,
Easily.
if you
Yeah.
heard
It's,
some
it's
people,
way
they
more
said it's-
cerebral.
and
Cerebral.
yet some people think it's
Why
written
not?
by someone who clearly doesn't know Star Wars and is a
Oh,
horrible
man.
writer. I'm like,
Hey,
maybe-
that happens when you take a chance.
I
You
will
shoot
say,
high.
though-
People are gonna
Yeah.
miss it.
I will
Yeah,
say
and
though,
I-
I am shocked that it's already
believe
start
it.
like
It's coming around.
it's coming around already, which
Already.
is
unfortunately for JJ, people have shifted on JJ.
Unfortunately
now.
for
I've
JJ,
heard
people
more
have shifted on-
Rise of
like,
Skywalker.
oh, well, at
hate
least
now
it's
where
not the
people
Rise
are-
of
Yeah, I
Sky-
disagree with that
yeah.
too.
I do
but
too.
but I will say it's coming around a lot quicker than the prequels did.
Yeah.
And I mean, now a lot of people say, now the common argument I see is, well, at least Ryan Johnson, swung for the fences. Like, at least he didn't. And everyone comes back and says Force Awakens played it safe, which probably did a little bit,
yeah.
but I just think it's ironic how
backhanded
quickly
compliment.
it's already.
it's-
yeah.
At least
The
he
Force-
tried hard.
The Force
No, he
Awakens.
did
What's
try.
funny
and
is
it's great.
Yeah,
the
and it's
real
fantastic.
truth to a
It's
lot of that is The Force Awakens, when it came out, was pretty much, again, I had heard some people kind of early on be like, I really liked it. It felt a lot like A New Hope, and I was like, yeah, that's intentional. I think that, and also as time went on, I think JJ was even like, I think JJ's giving us interviews like, it was maybe a little bit more than I should have done towards New Hope, but it was
Yeah.
also, the whole point was getting us back to, following up the prequels. We were
Yeah.
getting us back to the original feel,
trilogy,
the
yeah.
original, and so some of the stuff felt very much like that, maybe to a fault. But when it came out, I didn't hear a lot of people disliking The Force Awakens.
No, it's one of the highest grossing movies of all
Some
time.
people loved it. Some people really liked it. I didn't hear like
Number
anyone
4,
saying
right? It's number
it
4.
just got
It just got passed.
passed by Avatar.
Number 5.
Avatar just James Cameron officially has 3 of the top 4 films
That's
of all
insane.
time. And but what I was gonna say is
And he's not nominated for Best Director. Of course not.
No, it
it's
can't be. Not with those.
Victor
numbers.
Fleming was for Wizard of Oz. Figure that one out.
salad hater.
Yeah.
The
Salad hater. Salad hater.
salad hater.
Victor Fleming
Victor
hates
Fleming
lettuce.
shirts. Victor
Let's
Fleming
put
hates
that on
lettuce.
our merch.
The final thing I was saying on that point was, a lot of people were like, "Oh, didn't take any risks with, or not enough risks." As time went on, some people criticized Force Awakens heading into The Last Jedi. Now as time has passed on a little bit, or close to, Last Jedi, I think that The Force Awakens was too safe. I want someone to take a risk. All of a sudden, the early reviews come out. Ryan Johnson's thing is a home run. They're Kathy Kennedy's like, it's unbelievable. We're giving him a trilogy. This is great. People saw it opening weekend. I challenge anyone to find a bad review that you find now, because you don't. The
You
opening
don't.
weekend,
You can't.
all of the critics are like, unbelievable, best Star Wars since Empire, maybe best Star Wars ever. Everyone's saying it's unbelievable. Then as time goes on, some people said, man, that was too much of a big
It
swing.
becomes fashionable to
Yeah.
be. You got to be the dissenting
And then
opinion.
what ended up
It's
happening
it's
is
like cool
we had,
and hip now.
Then
to
they
not,
sabotage
then what
the.
happened was
for things
Rotten
not to
Tomatoes.
be good enough for
That's
you.
right.
and
That's
then
right.
let's
It's
be
like
honest,
that. Yo, you like
I
that? It
don't
wasn't good enough
think-
for me.
Yeah.
As if you're like.
And
yeah.
if I'm being honest, even though I'm not claiming that Rise of Skywalker is a perfect movie, but I really, really love that movie. And
Oh,
enjoy
it's
it.
perfect. No.
But I don't think there's a movie that has ever been made that would have come out at the time Rise of Skywalker did, following The Force Awakens and following the vitriol, everything surrounding The Last Jedi, that people would have said, oh, never mind, this one is fantastic, we're all on board. People had decided going into that movie. Now, it doesn't mean there aren't things in the movie
It was
that
gonna
can
be
cause people went into that movie
polarized
ready.
between- yeah.
Some people went into that movie ready already to not like it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the first thing that happened that they didn't like it, somehow Palpatine returned. Some people go, I'm out. And like immediately
I'm
they
out.
just got mad. And
Hayden
they
Christensen
ended up
didn't show
watching
up. I'm out.
it. There was a
There's
lot of
literally
predictions. It didn't
everybody's
happen.
biggest criticism is, why didn't Hayden Christensen show up at the end to talk to Rey? Why didn't he show up to Ben Kenobi to talk? I'm like,
That
you
would be
realize he
awful.
didn't know any of them.
That would be terrible.
He didn't
any
know any
sense.
of them.
Yeah.
Why didn't the Book of Boba Fett have its main antagonist a dark clone like they had in Legends come out with a lightsaber? And I run one of the biggest Star Wars YouTube accounts of all time, and I have theories.
I don't know why people say that, but I don't know. Some people have takes, and yeah, everyone should have their own takes. But
Whenever you ask why
Well
it
said.
didn't, the reason
Why
is
didn't
because you didn't make the
you didn't
movie.
make it.
That's
Thank
why.
goodness you
That's
didn't.
true.
Yeah.
What does
Sorry.
George always say? We'll end it with that.
I wanted a blue house, so I painted a blue house. You
Could
could
it-
have made a yellow if
Could
you
it
wanted
have been
to.
green?
Sure. I just wanted it to be blue.
That's why it's blue.
That's right.
The
And with
last
that,
thing I
that's why it's
had.
blue. See you next time.
Last
right.
thing I had though.
What you're all thinking? Why so blue?
Last thing I had.
Y'all asking why so blue?
so blue?
Last thing I had.
Pandora.
We're going to
I had
Pandora.
something.
We did see
though.
it
Last
twice.
Thing I had.
This
Oh.
guy.
Here's the only other thing. This is a more of a fun pick me up as we'll close out the show.
Yeah,
Give you a
we're
little
getting a little
roundup.
Pick
It's getting
us
a little,
up.
getting a little negative here.
Yeah,
Pick us up, 'cause this guy's over here is making-
Riding Skywalker jazz.
fitting a
I
rake.
push my teeth out so far that means my IQ drops 25 points.
Sorry for anyone out there with teeth like that. That was not.
Or a southern accent. I lived in Nashville for 9 years.
No, but this is just specifically anyone who steps on a rake. These
The
are
rake
These
thing.
are rake people
Right.
who just don't see that the rake's there and constantly
Exactly.
step
That's
on the rake.
it.
This is a Looney Tune version of someone who has a bad Star Wars take.
That is Foghorn Leghorn a little
right?
bit.
That is. That's
I say.
I said that is
This
not
guy
my
That is
Kathy.
not
All
my
right, let's
Kathy.
get it.
Okay, last thing. That's not even really news, but it's a fun thing here
Not
in
my
this.
Kathy.
Sorry, I lost it. This is a fun thing hearing hearing some of the reaction that Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson had to watching the final production of Obi-Wan Kenobi and seeing it come out. So in this
Cool.
article, we had Liam said when I saw this was Ewan, I think. Ewan said when I saw episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi for the first time, I got to see them down where we shot in Manhattan Beach, and I had to go down there, and I went down there and I watched episodes 1 through 3 first in one sitting. They literally shut me in a room. I was on my own, and I was so impressed I got to watch it early. But when I was sitting there and I watched episode 6, and when I tell Vivian Lyra Blair, Leia,
Mm-hmm.
may the force be with you, at the end of the episode, I literally burst into tears watching it. He said, I was sitting there and there's something so moving about it. And then Liam in this same article said, for me, it was Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan on a camel, a real camel, and me. We rehearsed it before we shot it, and we just started crying, sitting there together talking about old times. It was just lovely. That Star Wars that we did, The Phantom Menace, we shot it over 25 years ago. It came out in 1999 when CGI was in its infancy. That's why it took so long for it to come out. It was lovely to do. It was great to do. I really enjoyed my time. I just love that Liam feels like he would do more Star Wars in a second.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he's kind of like, Obi-Wan.
And he
I only got
has.
30 seconds in the show, but I
Obi-Wan.
kind of
I
hope
wish
I
I
would
had
have
my own
more.
show. It's, yeah.
Obi-Wan. I love that they got him back to do
I know.
Tales
He
of
also
the
said
Jedi.
that he would love to do. He said he would love to come back for a season 2 if possible, because he had such a good time working with Hayden again, and
Mm-hmm.
that of course he would love to do that, which makes total sense.
Yeah.
as an actor, getting to come back and reprise the role.
Absolutely.
And be with the people that you worked with, many years ago. Of course, he'd be like, yeah, let me do that as much as I can.
It's cool when you get to see the actors that made the movie enjoy it as much or more
Yeah.
than
Oh,
we do
yeah.
watching it.
And
That's
also
kinda
just
cool.
see, because they've got such a different experience of stuff that we don't get
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
we're not there with, like
Right.
this stuff, connecting with the other actors, the behind the scenes stuff, their experience and watching it. It's really cool getting their
Mhm.
perspective on all that.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Love it. So that was just a little pick me up
Yeah.
after
I like it.
all the vitriol
Yeah.
after my blood
Well-
boiled.
Vitriol.
Vitriol. The vitriol
Yeah.
jazz.
The game was a
Well,
fool.
there you have it. Got to a little bit of Bad Batch, but obviously wanted to spend a good amount of time talking about Mando, with it only being a month away, exactly 1 month. We're coming up, Mando season 3. So let us know your thoughts if you guys are listening or watching this back. Let us know what you guys think of Bad Batch, which is currently going on. Where's the show going? What'd you think of Gungi? And let us know what you think is gonna come with Mando season 3.
Can't wait.
Yeah, with that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. And may the Force be with you.
This is the way. I don't know why I got super raspy at the end there.
This guy went.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Kazi and Ender. Kazi and Ender.
I'll get you, my pretty. And your little Don, too. Grogu, too.
I can do it. If I only had a heart.